So, construction began on the citadel in 1713, immediately in the aftermath of the Treaty of Utrecht. That was when the Spaniards, who had been in control of the area for really quite some time, there's a strategic road called the Road to Flanders that goes from this area straight through to the Netherlands, that the Spanish used to use extensively. Tactical road, as it were. And the area was ceded to the House of Savoy, so the Kingdom of Sardinia, in much the same way as everything from Nice, Monaco, all the way along this coast was then the Kingdom of Sardinia. And this is, of course, 100 years before Napoleon. I mean, this place is really quite substantial. And like I say, I can't see. I can see the walls all around, but you can't appreciate the magnificence of this place from ground level. You have to see it from the air or whatever it happens to be. My friend Hells recently was in Mexico, and she took a balloon ride above Teotihuacan. That is a desirable balloon ride. There's a place in Myanmar, Burma, called Bagan, which is a massive city on a floodplain of temples and palaces. I have taken a balloon ride there. I'm going to have to do the Teotihuacan one, but this would be a perfect place for a hot air balloon ride because it's just so cool. Anyway, so 1713, construction continued for really quite some time because it is a substantial fortification, 180 acres. Even today, the plot of land, the actual fortress where the walls begin, is about 2/3 of the size of the city, of the town on the other side of the river. It is just huge. So construction continued for really quite some time. I mean, like I say, all these buildings, these huge, 3, 4 story and basement buildings are all just the central complex. And then you have declining and expanding walls poking out. And as I say, the reason why this one is it has maintained its integrity, as it were, is that to the north is farmland. There are no buildings crowding it. There are a few along the riverbank. So if you like, to the south side. But there aren't any buildings encroaching upon its territory, nor is there a road to the north, like cutting across it or anything like that. So, and if you'll forgive me for a second, this would make an incredible zombie apocalypse redoubt. I mean, you'd have to have a substantial force of arms, you understand? You have to have a substantial army at your back. But just because of the way it's set up is very, very cool. If you notice, all of the buildings have heavily fortified windows and doors. I mean, fair enough, that door's actually metal, but you get the idea. Bars on all the windows on the ground floor. That is pretty much just a ruin at this point, but you can see here as well the lower storage areas and the rooms above, all massive, very, very strong bars. And that, of course, is a defensive measure if the place is overrun. I mean, be a hell of a place for a last stand. There's a path going up that I'm going to explore. I do believe it goes up to the inner fortification on the wall. And you've got storage in that. It's actually quite tempting. But yeah, as is that. There's a very large archway there. And obviously that's for carriages, gun carriages, horses, because this place would have had a very substantial garrison. Let's check. Right, while I'm walking up. So as I said, the immediate aftermath of the Treaty of Utrecht in 1713, King Vittorio II ordered this place to be constructed, and it was completed 10 years later by his son, by the order of his son, King Charles Emmanuel III. A man, very smart man called Ignacio Bertola was the architect, because the engineering feat to build this place is just extreme. It's, as I say, three layers, if you like, of fortifications and hexagonal stars, if that makes sense, with bastions poking out, easy to defend against a vastly superior force. Of course, before the advent of quite serious modern artillery. Wow. Quite serious modern artillery. And of course, air power. This place did surrender actually fairly swiftly in World War II, because it was a whole different ballgame by then. I don't actually know what these are. Massive storage areas, or yes. Christ, I mean, you could literally drive a truck into that. Nearly got taken out by a pigeon. And this appears to be a parade ground. Just a massive open area. Wow. Right, this tunnel just goes all the way around, and I'm going to go with this is a stabling area, because you have rings all along the walls. So I'm assuming that it would be for cavalry. So they'd come in, tie up their horses, and be able to sally forth at a moment's notice. It's also defensive all the way along, alcoves and so forth. If I see a dark tunnel, I have to walk through it. Compulsion from being afraid of the dark when I was 4. It's locked up. Ooh, stairs. Bit of a weird one. So the staircase led to this little balcony here, just surrounded by terracotta tiles. So I don't really know why this is here. Anyway. Right, this is actually quite cool. I didn't know about this, and obviously my Italian is terrible, but on the 10th of March 1821, in the silence of night, in Alessandria, there was a salvo of cannons from this location, and the very first tricolor Italian flag was raised at this point. That was the first time the tricolor was ever raised. And I don't quite know why, but they put this memorial up on the 10th of March 2011 instead of 2021, which would have been 200 years exactly. Strange. Anyway. Right, I'm headed out. So, as a fortification, it is substantial, but it did change hands many, many times. From, first of all, as I say, the Kingdom of Sardinia. They ordered it built, knocked down an entire village to build it in its place. Then the French took it over in the late 1700s. Napoleon expanded it. I mean, you can see just this, how substantial those walls are. Napoleon expanded it. Then it was attacked by the Austro-Russian army. And then eventually, towards the end of the 18th century, when the unification of Italy took place, then it became a bastion and a symbol of the Royal Italian Army. And of course, this place was built on a location where castles had been rising and falling again for many, many centuries. But I mean, look at this. Just all the way. It's absolutely huge. And as I said, I mean, the actual fortification itself is a whole big bunch of red brick. Just massive, squat, thick-walled, indestructible buildings. But from above, it's poetry. Well, the central buildings ruin the thing, but the actual fortification itself is just gorgeous. So I will, as I said, add in some aerial shots into this video. I don't customarily do, so you can see what I mean. Hope it's funny. Right, well, considering that the overwhelming majority of the time I forget to A, take a half-decent selfie to put as the thumbnail of a given episode, I always end up freezing the video and just taking a screenshot, which means I usually look like an idiot. So I'm going to do this one. This is good. And also, I regularly forget, because maybe I'm going to take another shot, to use my very cool sign-off line. So I'm going to do it now. If you like what I do and how I'm doing it, please do like and subscribe.